This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last session, I had a quiz, right, regarding evaluation basics. There is an answer which you are asking, and it is actually a different concept. It is not the evaluation which I was talking about. Okay, so it is a different one. So that you can find out, it is regarding your monitoring of tasks and date specifications and whatever. So they are calling this one as your evaluation basis. This actually is a node, not related to your that evaluation which I was talking about. Okay, so I just gone through that. Okay, just to clarify, it is in your all-in-one guide, page number 550. You can get that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is actually that the question that the meaning of the evaluation basis is this one, even if it is a little confusing, but they call it evaluation basis. This is actually
So
configuration node.
tell me in more detail what this is.
Okay, so this is nothing but, suppose let me go to the screen. I will show you in the system.
Yeah, just in more detail what this is and what
Yes,
does this do.
yes, yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
So in this all the 24 steps, almost I have done a recap. Okay, so in every step I've tried to put a screenshot, and so that you can visualize in a better way. Okay, so what exactly we are configuring and what is the configuration path and what is the purpose wherever it is required. Okay, that I have tried to mention here. Okay, so still I will be means almost completed. So there are certain things which I have to update again. Okay, so I'll be sharing this one with you, like defining some MDF object, what exactly you are doing there. Okay. So you can see those highlighted sections, like I have changed here the length, the maximum length of that particular field. Okay. These are changes I have done in the presentation as of now. Okay. So I'll be sharing with you. But today we'll be starting with that EC payroll set, because this is an ongoing task. I couldn't complete it, but still I'll be anyway. Okay, I got some free time today, so today I'll be able to complete it and I will be sharing it across. Hope that is fine with
Okay.
you.
Yeah, but in the EC side, have you covered that earliest retroactive date step? That one we
Our
haven't covered yet.
earliest retroactive data, because that is one of the field only. Okay, so this is one of the field. Okay, so this one, right? Earliest retro check you are talking about.
Yes.
This is step number 21. Okay, so this is
I-
yeah, so this is one of the field in the managed data itself. Okay, so I will tell you that. Okay, uh, so that is if you go to P2P guide, I think it is P2P guide. It is not there, right? Is it?
It is there.
Okay, okay. Then if it is, then I will let me check that. Step
It's
number.
there in one of the places, either in P2P guide or Learning Hub. I don't remember where it is, but it is at one of the places.
Okay, okay. Just a minute.
I mean, if the topic is coming up, I don't want to skip it, right?
Yeah, actually, it's just one minor thing. Okay, so only thing is that.
I mean, even if it's minor, from
Hmm,
my knowledge and perspective, earliest retroactive date on
hmm.
SAP payroll side, it's something very major. So I want to know what's
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
with this config
I
on ECP,
understand.
and I
I
want a
understand.
proper business rationale.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is my step number.
While you look at it, I'll quickly grab a glass of water. Just a
Yeah, yeah,
one
sure,
second.
sure. Lucas, let me check it again. So because of that documentation, actually, I'm not finding it here. So let me confirm the next session. Okay, that only that one step is missing, right? Any other step you would like to recap?
No, no, please go ahead. If I don't
Sure.
want to interrupt,
Huh.
but
Yes. So
but
that
again,
that huh.
these are key questions, right?
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
I'm making a note of those, and at some point, I would want these to be answered.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this one actually it's I already planned it. So but actually I'm not get to get it now. Okay. So I will definitely. I've seen it somewhere, but actually at present I'm not able to keep it, recap it. Okay. So I will do it. So let's get started for the today's EC payroll side. So the session 10. So we'll be seeing from EC payroll side what are the prerequisites is required and what are the configuration steps. So if I compare with your EC side, it is much easier because we are coming from an on-premise background. Okay. So people who are directly native to SuccessFactors, they do have a lot of knowledge required for this. Okay. But for us, it is relatively easier. So regarding your prerequisite check, so these are the some as usual your minimum support pack, that is your SP28. It was also there in your EC side as well. So same is applicable for your ECP as well. Okay, and you must have those integration add-ons. So like for your SAP integration add-on for EC that should be there. Hmm. Similarly, your payroll basic configuration. When I say payroll basic configuration, that is your country specific those basic configuration set up at least the minimum. Okay, then fourth one is your admin access, so you should have an admin access to your ECP. Okay, that is the RBP of whatever the we discussed in the part of A of our EC payroll, that permissioning all should be there. Okay, and fifth one is your PA configuration. So PA configuration in the sense your PA, PSA, employee group, employee subgroup, assignment of your all those on-premise PA configuration. Okay, that must be aligned with your employee central. So whatever you have configured in your employee central, okay, so that must be aligned with your PA configuration. Okay, so that mapping and all. So those must be defined in. Okay, so this is the fifth one, and similarly, the sixth one is your EC to EC payroll basic setting. Okay, so like the basic, which suppose you are working implementing for 5 different countries. Okay, so those 5 different countries must be set up in your EC as well. The number ranges, which I'm talking about, number ranges for partner and all. Okay, so those things, and there are setting of a data set which we will be seeing in activation. If it is you're applying concurrent employment, okay, if it is optional, if it is applicable for you, that you need to activate. Similarly, there is a setting of data sharing configurations. Okay, that must be there set up. Okay, so this is regarding all your prerequisites. Similarly, we do have so the last 9 point, right, which now it came into picture, which I was talking about today more earlier. Okay, that is a defining of evaluation basis. So this is your evaluation basis, which is nothing but your monitoring of your task and date specification. This is your evaluation basis, we call it. And similarly your payroll area, control record, your different pay components, base type configuration, those pay structures should be matching. Okay, these are the minimum nine prerequisites before we start configuring in your ECP side. Okay, from an integration perspective. So any questions on this 9 prerequisites? The data sharing configuration, I will talk about it later on. Okay, so it should not be confusing. Any other questions do you have,
No,
Lucas?
no, no.
So next in your EC payroll side, we do have 17 steps to follow. Okay, and these are more or less known steps because it is all coming from your on-premise side. Okay, so we will be seeing in the next two couple of slides. Okay, we'll be seeing those 17 steps one by one. Okay, so like this is your configuring your SAP info type actions. I think you do not require this detailed way, right? Because you are already know about it, how to configure those actions and all. Hmm.
No, no, you
So
can skip those.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can
So this is
skip.
a very
But
basic thing. Okay.
if you are
Uh-huh.
skipping these, I wouldn't mind.
Hmm.
If you are skipping these ones, I wouldn't
Hmm.
mind if you want to do a
Hmm.
recap of other steps.
Yes.
You know those mapping ones, company code, wage
Uh,
type mapping. Those ones, number range is very important in replication. Those bits, concurrent employment. You know how in concurrent employment you have personal ID in EC, but two partners in ECPY. So that concept, I would recommend to go through. But these ones you can skip, actions,
Oh,
etc. That's
okay,
yeah.
sure. Because these are very basic thing. So people who are coming from the purely success factor background, actually they take more time here actually. So for that reason, I have prepared it mostly this thing. Okay, like which notes to follow and all. Okay. Similarly, we do have for step one. These are all input type actions and all. So I'm not going through those details. So configuring all those stuff. Similarly, the step two is regarding your configuring those key mapping of the company code. Okay, so like previously we have seen those point-to-point replication part. Now here, in here you'll be seeing there are certain key mapping to be done. EC company code to your ECP company code. Okay, so those mapping, because the organizational unit legal entity whatever is mapped in your ECP, that should be matching, means it should map here your company code map. Like here in this example I have given like company code is my 6570. That is my uh, ECP company code. Okay, but in your EC, I have defined it as the best travel ECP underscore ECP, something like that. Okay, so in this way you can do a mapping here. Okay, so like company code to company code mapping in your EC to EC payroll. Okay, and same settings I've given here. Okay, this is your step number two. Step number three is regarding your locations. Okay, so when I say locations, actually you will be having your so permanent establishment ID. So like here to your PA. Okay, so here whatever PA I have defined. So like CA01, CA02, these are my EC payroll personal area. Okay, and the respective personal sub area I have defined, and that I have mapped to your EC your locations. Okay, EC locations I have defined here. Okay, that I have done the mapping. Okay, so this is the mapping for your key mapping of the locations. Okay, so similar steps I followed for all the cost center. This is also an important activity. So the cost center mapping I have done here, and there is a scenario here. So sometimes you may not require to map the cost center, and there are certain conditions, so in which scenario do not need to map a cost center. If you consider, these are the three things. Okay, suppose if you are using external cost center you have configured in your financial system or SAP FICO. Okay, so that is the one scenario. And second scenario is, suppose say your length of the external cost center is lower or equal to 10. Okay, suppose in the example which I have given, like if the cost center looks like this, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. Okay, so in those cases you do not require this. And if the cost center, if the length of the cost center, another criteria is cost center key must be in 14 characters long. Okay, so the, if you're having a 14 characters cost center, then first 4 character it must be your controlling area, which is coming from your FICO module. Okay, so finance from that cost center itself, you will be able to, suppose in this example, if you see D is 0 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So the first 4 digit or the first 4 character, it will be your FICO controlling area. Okay, so in those scenario, you do not require to map the cost center. Okay, otherwise you have to require, if you are not fulfilling any criteria, then you have to map those cost center in your this mapping. Okay. So here I have done the mapping because it is not fulfilling the criteria, because my have, suppose I'm having a 6 digit cost center, then I have done the mapping of the company code to cost center. So here it is one of the note you have to remember here. Whatever you're doing this mapping, okay, so this maintenance and all, okay, it is required if the external cost center is not used in EC. In case if you're not using external cost center, then you have to do this kind of mapping. Okay, so this is from a cost center mapping point of view, nothing much different. Then next one is
Just
your, yeah,
just repeat. I'm just trying to think in my head.
okay,
Uh, Under what circumstances it's not required to map?
Okay, so this is a circumstances like suppose your value of cost center, external cost center you have defined in the finance system, SAP FICO system. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
in those scenarios, do not require to do this mapping.
Why?
Okay, so why means actually it will be coming means whatever you're defining in your FICO system, that external cost center. Okay, so that replication will happening and it will be coming directly to your the system. Okay, if you're not using FICO, okay, so then you have to maintain it here. Got my point?
Mm-hmm. No, if you have your FICO in S4 HANA
Hmm,
and you are getting an external cost center from there
hmm,
to ECP,
hmm.
in that case, you don't need to maintain that mapping.
So there are three criteria. So you have to full. If you are not fulfilling any of this, then you require it. Okay. So here there are first condition is external cost center. If you are maintaining there, okay. And second is the length of the cost center also varies. Like if what is the cost center length you are maintaining there. Okay. If it is lower than or equal to this value, so say 10 characters. Okay. So in those cases, you have to map it. So this example
And
so the screenshot which I have in this case actually I have mapped it because it was not we have not done the not maintained the external cost center in the finance system. Okay, so for that reason in this example if you see I have maintained in your this thing in your EC and I have maintained in your ECP because this is the cost center is not coming from my finance system in this scenario.
okay, no, that's fine. I'll just do some research on this topic.
Okay.
I'm making
Let me
notes.
know. Okay, let me know if you have any other queries. But this is the actually conditions like if you are not maintaining an external cost center, okay, that it will coming into picture here.
Okay, no, no, that's fine. I'm making some notes.
Sure, sure. So the next one is your maintaining of your code value list. So what is the meaning of a code value list? So the code values can be like it can be your data type in your employee central. It can be so when I say data type, actually it will be your it can be an EC object or it can be a pick list. Okay. Similarly, when I say ISO code, ISO code is a country specific ISO code, those three-letter country ISO code and all. And there is something called alt list. Okay, so this will be an actually an ID which will be maintaining for you all kind of mapping of your alternate mapping and all. When I say employee central code value, there is something called employee central code value. This will it will be clear more whenever I be showing a system. Okay, source how the source field to be mapped and all. Okay, so these are we call it a code value list. And similarly, ERP code value. So ERP code value is your ECP. So when I say ERP code value, what is the code value in the EC payroll side? Okay, so those mapping and this by combiningly we call them as a code value list. Okay, the code value list. If you go to the system again, so in the system you will be seeing these are the different mapping. Okay, so we call it them like ERP code value. That is your ECP. The second, the last one, code value mapping, and we have respective EC data type. Okay, so what are the different EC data type and what are the different respective ECP side? So in the EC data type, you will be seeing all those event region, gender. Okay, and similarly in the ECP side, we will be having action, reason and all. Okay, so those kind of mapping we can do here. Okay, so
So
in this particular, yeah.
does that mean you can do a crisscross mapping? Meaning
Hmm.
in EC, you can define a code value as employee class, and in ERP side, you can map it to action.
So we have there are certain specific things, so you can't define your own. Okay, so there are certain. So I didn't understand actually what is the crisscross you mean actually. What do you mean by criss?
Let's let's see in the system.
Okay, sure, sure. So let me complete it, then I will show you in the system. Okay. So this is one of the example where exactly the address type. So when I say address type, that is your EC data type is your address type. Okay. And for say Canada, I am using CA, ISO, and corresponding say EC code value is P, but for my EC payroll side, it is considered as a permanent residence. That is number one. Okay.
Understood.
Understood now, right? I think this example will be giving more clarity because that is a previous or generic one. This is a more specific example which I have given, like the subtype specific, because the subtypes can be differ from your EC payroll to your
Understood.
EC side, right? In EC side, we are
Understood.
calling it P. P means permanent there, but in your ECP side, we have number like one for permanent residence. So this is the where exactly you can do an detailed mapping. Okay, so address type is fine, but again at a country, suppose if you like to have because address format will be vary from country to country. Okay, so again for that reason we have the country specific mapping and those country specific detailed subtype to subtype mapping also, you can say it. Okay, so this is actually one of the example to understand. This is address type. Okay, so after doing this, then this is an overall, this is actually there is a table for it. Okay, so this is one of the example I have given it from an Indian scenario. So where exactly we have different declarations like your 580 info type series. Okay, so
Mhm.
here the right hand side you can see there are different types of declaration type, which is very generic in your employee central. But in how you will be defining those in there is some employee central code for that, like HRA, that is for 581. Okay, similarly for your different section 80, 80C. Okay, so those for those we have very specific ERP code value. We call it ERP code value. ERP code value is nothing but your employee central payroll code value. Okay, so ERP means your EC payroll only here. Okay, similarly, the entire list you will be getting it in this particular table, like your DP77 SFEC CB map code value mapping as CB maps. Okay, in that particular table you will be getting all those are. Okay. If anything is missing, then you can add it, or SAP generally they takes care of it if it is statutory and all. And if anything is missing, then you can still add it in this code value mapping. Okay. So this is the concept of your code value mapping. I think it is now clear, Lucas.
Yeah.
So now you have a small knowledge check. Can you exclude an info type from an application? Just a yes or no question for you.
I mean, yes, you can, but you need to replicate the mandatory ones, those mandatory
Exactly,
five.
exactly. So how to exclude? So like suppose I would like to exclude info type 7 due to some reason I would like to use. So there is something called concept of info type filter. Okay, so if you go to the job information for a particular type, okay, so there is something called working days per week, so we can just simply remove that particular values. Okay, so you can use the concept of info type filtering there. Okay, so then you can exclude that particular info type from an replication point of view, but actually it is recommended whatever the actually the mandatory info types you must replicate. Okay, so that is the concept there. That was small quiz. The next one is a work schedule. So work schedule, we have the feature WRPHR. Okay, so that WRPHR feature should be there. So this is the deriving your how you will be deriving your work schedule settings in your EC payroll. Okay, so that specific table and that is your specific feature to be maintained if you are following that whatever that work schedule rule and all. This is just to deriving a work schedule from the EC payroll. This is the feature you have to use. That is the next step. And similarly, the next step is defining a date type. So date type is actually your different employee like employment information for different, it can be country specific as well. Okay, so how to do those mapping? So if you just select the particular country in your country grouping, okay, then you choose your date segment. It can be your employment information and all. Okay, after choosing employment information or the job information, then you have to, if you are having any custom thing also that you can define in your date type. Okay, so this is your different, it can be your hiring date, it can be your retirement date, resignation date. Okay, so all those date type mapping also you can do the this mapping from EC to EC payroll. Okay, so this is how a typical hire date to your employee central date type mapping you will be doing. So depending upon your those scenario. Then this is what is a very simple one, like configuring the waste type. How to configure those waste type, you must know about it. So this is actually people who are coming from SF background. Actually, I share one guide with them, so where exactly they will be understanding those configuration of the way. I take a short session for them separately, but for you it is not required because we are already an expert in all this area. How to configure those waste types. Hmm.
All I want to revisit is
Uh,
pay components and wage type mapping.
sure, sure, sure. So I will show that in this, after this. Okay. Okay, this is a step number 7. Okay. And regarding this time sheet, your mapping, time type, replication, and code values is very similar. So 11, step number 11 to 9 to 12, and 8 to 12 actually. So this is more or less similar. Okay, so for that reason, I have not shown the screenshot. So same similar steps we have to follow, those code value list and all. And after doing that, then you have to create the technical user. If you've already created it, just you have to revisit it, nothing much. So by going to SU01, you have to create a technical user who will be responsible for this doing these applications and all that I have covered here. So this is the thing. And you have to set up the web service communications. Okay, so like first of all, you have to connect. That is a specific transition code for it. That is your HRSFC PTP config. And in that, you have to define your RFC, all those communications. Then creating your logical system. Okay. Then after doing this, you have
Is
to
it
activate.
is
Yeah.
it same as what we had covered initially about SAML2, or is it different?
It is close to that, but not exactly that. Okay, so but that is a different one. Okay, this is actually you have not seen this one, right? That employee master data API confirmation API. The SML2 is actually that is a different one. Okay, so this is
So could
your
you
just
please explain me the concept first, this one, then that one, and how they are linked?
okay. So SML2 that is different one. Okay, so here which I was talking about, this is from your ECP to EC. Okay, so like if you whenever you are setting up the web service communication, okay, so SML actually on the top of this. Okay, so this is you can see like first of all we'll be configuring this one whenever you are doing this logical system build up and you activate your web service using your SOA manager. There is something called SOA manager. Okay, so you have to activate that. Then you can so before this that SML should be set up. Okay, so for that reason I covered that SML setup initially. Okay, so this is actually from an ECP side. There are certain things. So that is from an EC side. I have explained earlier. Okay, in a that is generic step. Okay, so after doing that, you have this configuration like your API server URL. So this server URL must have activated, and there is a replication target system. So which will be your replication target system from an ECP side, because this is a replication target system for an EC. Okay, so this is if you define replication target system, a demo system. Okay, so this is this is a report, nothing much. This is a report. Okay, where exactly you have to ping those employee central APIs, your employee master data API, confirmation API. If you're using time data also, if you're replicating. Okay, so this time data API also you have to put it here. Okay, so that is the key difference between that, but that is a prerequisite. Before doing this, you have to ensure that SML2 that must be configured. Okay, so after just a minute, I'm just charging up my charger. Okay. Okay. So this report, you will be whenever you are doing this setup. So there are actually 3 tasks you have to do. Okay. So whenever you are setting the up this web service thing. Okay. So there will be your those communication system, you have to define your logical system, because that is your, you have to logical system will be your ECP. Okay. And here in this scenario, if you will be seeing, our logical system is a demo system here. Okay, that is my replicated target system, that's my ECP system. Okay, and I have defined my those API server URL. So whatever it is given by SAP, that URL I have used it. And similarly, in this scenario, suppose I'm not using time data replication, so only this employee master and confirmation API I'm confirming. Okay. Otherwise, if I am required time data replication also I am doing, then I have to pick this API as well. So all these three, depending upon your requirement, but the first two actually important one, employee master data as well as your confirmation. Okay, so then only your all this replication will be start working. Okay, so compared to that web service which we have seen earlier, okay, the difference is actually the SML2. That is a prerequisite. Okay, so that you have to, that is actually generic level. And from an employee central payroll specific, okay, so that this configuration you have to do, like you have to ping your employee central APIs. Okay, and this setup, this two and time data, if you are doing it, okay, these three you have to configure. Okay, so that is the key difference there.
Uh,
And yeah, you understood? Any other queries here?
Not really well. Uh,
uh,
I mean, it's not that clear to me, to be brutally honest. Uh,
hmm,
what I wanted
hmm.
uh, uh, was an I'll tell you 1 second. I'm just 1 second. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
You will understand what
Hmm.
precisely is my question,
Okay.
right? Just 1 second. I was just. Can I quickly share my screen?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can just let me make the present. Yeah, now we can say.
Now you'll understand my question. I'll share the screen. Yeah. So are you seeing my screen now?
Not yet.
Still not yet?
No.
What do
Yeah,
I
now
do?
I can. Now I can see the paint.
Yeah. So see, what I wanted to understand was very generic, you know,
Hmm.
high level understanding, not even high level, very not what's written in implementation guide, but very layman understanding, which uh, anybody should understand.
Yes.
So, but I haven't understood. So basically, when the replication, I mean, since me and you, we are not in the
Hmm.
same meeting room face to face, I'm just quickly putting something here.
Okay.
Now, EC to ECP replication happens with your compound employee API,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Right? It
Yes.
happens with the compound employee API.
Hmm.
Now, that replication happens through that replication program. That replication program internally would invoke that API, and that API will bring the data from EC to SCP either through full transmission mode or whatever has been configured. All
Hmm.
right. Now,
Hmm.
what you were showing me some user which needs to be configured with the appropriate roles, right?
Hmm.
That's what you were showing me, that SU01 and PFCG, those roles. that
Mm-hmm.
should be configured to the ECP side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my mind, I'm not clear what is the purpose of that role. Is that role helping this API to put data or create data into ECP? Or what was the purpose of that SAML? Is SAML, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking? Is it making sense now? My question?
Yes, yes. Now it is. I understood what exactly you're coming from. Okay. So
Yeah.
SAML actually.
So that's
So
how I think. I'll tell you again. That's how. I mean, I would expect. I mean, this answer rather
hmm,
than what's written in that implementation guide, or
hmm,
because those kind of images, those kind of answers, they
hmm,
stay long and they make more sense rather
hmm.
than what's written out there. So
Okay.
help me understand this whole user concept
Hmm.
with a good picture that will
Okay.
stay in my mind forever.
Okay, okay, sure, sure. So what I will say in this picture itself, so I will say whenever you are creating a technical user, when I say, okay, it can be EC or it can be ECP. So in my scenario, in my project experience, what I'm telling, so the integration person, the person actually who is responsible for integrating all these things, so he has a PT point-to-point replication user, where exactly it is not again. We actually I have kept it in the ECP side. For that reason, I think it is little confusing for you. Okay, so if from a
It's not
system point,
confusing. It's not
okay,
confusing. It's a simple uh,
uh,
architecture. The
okay,
architecture is not confusing, but the answer I would expect to be more
hmm,
clear so that it
hmm,
should be clear what's the purpose of that user or what's the
okay,
purpose of that SAML. You know what
okay.
I'm saying?
Yes, yes, got it, got it. So whenever you are having this technical user by using that SU01 and we actually define it, also call it a P2P technical integration user. Okay, sometimes. So that user, whatever the permissions has been given to that particular user, mostly the technical, all the authorization given to him, and he will be actually able to execute all this replication and all this SAML 2.0 here in the ECP side. If you see those SOA transaction, SO means whatever that will be coming SOA manager transaction. Okay, he will be responsible for the all these technical integrations, and the same configuration access or same authorization you can also give to the super user. When I say super admin or super admin payroll, super admin user in the client environment. Okay, so whenever you are giving this any kind of troubleshooting is happening, okay, so only these two user will be responsible. One is the super user or the super administrator for EC payroll, and second one is the your point to point replication user. Even in my project, I was not given this access. Okay, for all the consultants, all the tech functional consultants, they were not given access. And generally, this is the integration consultant who will be responsible for debugging as well. Okay, so those debug access and that is there with him. Okay, so that person is responsible for any kind of troubleshooting is happening inside the system, because once your payroll is live and up and running, okay, you may come across some kind of issue, replication issues, and they have to debug, okay, some kind of thing. Okay, so for that reason those access are given to them. Okay, so those person will be responsible for end to end entire cycle, EC to ECP and
No,
ECP to ECP, all.
that's
Hmm,
that's
that's clear,
that's
right?
still
Hmm,
that's still out of the topic what I'm asking. I don't care about debugging, etc.
hmm,
or
hmm,
payroll super user. Right
hmm,
now, what I'm asking very specific to the topic where we were.
hmm,
Okay, so I got my answer about that P2P user
hmm,
you gave me, that
hmm,
it is with those particular roles which you
hmm,
just showed me,
hmm.
uh, that user should be able to replicate or execute the replication program. Without those access, the replication program wouldn't work. All
Yes,
right.
yes,
That's the explanation you gave me.
yeah.
So now where does that SAML2 and all that stuff fit into the picture? Because uh,
Hmm,
this particular user or this API would need to enter into EC also, right? In order to fetch the data.
hmm,
So
yes,
there should be some config or security side or all that stuff. So I'm trying to paint that picture into my head, into my mind, rather than just reading out what's on the implementation guide.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so regarding this SAML2, actually it is from your single sign-on point of view, it is on the top of this. This is generic one. It's not directly related to this. On the top of this, it will work. It is from a single sign-on point of view. If you are using IDP or single sign-on point of view, it is a completely different track, but it is related to it. Okay, so this is your from a security point of view. Okay, but that is different aspect of it. So it is not directly related to the replication. This is you must do this. Okay, so this is actually for that reason during your activation steps I have covered it. SML 2.0 if you see. Okay, so that I have covered in the before we start your EC integration. Okay, so that is SML 2.0 from that point of view. Still I think
Okay.
not clear, is it?
No, it's still not clear. I'm being honest because
uh,
no, it's still not yet, but that's fine. I'll put this also into my diary. I'll have to do
okay,
some
uh,
research on this topic
so
because
yeah, actually recently they have released something called ALP document. Actually, I think I have to, if I share that, and this just is, I have not gone through the document detail. It is called some architecture component related. Previously, it was not there. Okay, so there I think it should be there. Okay, so if I am able to get it, then I will definitely share this with you. Okay, and yeah, sure, I will go through that and I'll share with you. Hmm. Anything, some more
yeah,
detailed explanation or some more easier explanation of it. Okay, so
yeah.
this is
Again,
my
it's
technical
not
understanding.
easier.
uh,
It's not about easier explanation. It's about the right explanation. Are you getting my point? Uh,
uh,
uh, so,
yes.
but anyway, this is fine. I'll have to do some more reading and research. Uh,
Okay.
uh, because in any integration,
Hmm.
EC, ECP, my question was, uh,
Hmm.
how is this compound employee getting the data from EC and all those details? But
Hmm.
never mind. I'll do some more reading and we'll get
Okay.
back to you on this.
For sure.
Uh,
Let me know.
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Go ahead, please. Now you can go
right.
and
Sure.
share your screen again.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So these are the three steps which I explained. So next one is your actually which I was calling about SOA manager. That's your transition code is simple, SOA manager. Okay, and there is if you go to the transition, it will take you to a web URL. So if you try this SOA manager, it will take you to a URL, and there is a simplified web service configuration. Okay, inside that. Okay, and generally this is actually done by the integration consultant, but actually I have taken those screenshots only. Okay, so there are some service definitions and all like employee master data, all those stuff. Okay, so that you have to ensure it is there. Okay, so username, password authentication. Okay, everything is working there. Simplified web service configuration and
What's
all.
this username and password?
Okay, so this username, this is a API user ID and password. Okay, so you actually this will be having actually this will be with your integration consultant. He will be having some user ID password, those basic user ID
Is
password.
this username and password needed to access ECP or EC?
No, no, no. This is actually is your EC to ECP that integrations. Okay, for that those API user ID password. There is a API user ID
That's
password. This is called.
correct.
Hmm,
That's correct. But any user ID and password, moment you enter, that
hmm,
gives you the access to a system, right? Even if
yes.
it's API, even if
Hmm,
it's IDOC, even if it's BDC, even if it's RFC, that
hmm,
user ID and password gives the
hmm,
access to a particular system. So the question is, this user
hmm.
ID and password is to access EC or ECP?
ECP. This is for your ECP.
Okay, okay.
Hmm. So this is the activation steps. Actually, if you go to that particular step, once you logged into, okay, those
Yeah.
set once this is a one-time activity. So you have to once your before you set up, and this is actually done by my integration consultant. Just I have seen how it looks like. Okay, so for that reason, I kept it this for your understanding. Okay, so that is the employee master data bundler, and once you save it, then you have to activate it. Okay, so in this system actually I have not used any of these client certificates and all, but if it is there you have to use those client certificate. But I have no idea regarding this what is all about. Okay, so this is more technical, what is this X.509 and all, it's a client certificate and all. Okay, but if it is required then you have to add that. So this is your SOA manager, how you can activate those replication master replication web services, and you have to activate it. Okay, so this is one of the steps in this particular integration. And next one is your setting of your data sharing configuration. Okay, so why it is required? So there is a certain framework. In this framework you'll be seeing. Okay, so something called this, it is required to prevent data being inconsistent. Suppose you are trying to maintain data in your EC payroll side, but that is actually not recommended, right? Because anyway your data replication should be happening from your EC to your ECP and all. Okay, so in due to some reason you have maintained some data unknowingly or knowingly. Okay, so in those cases so those kind of sometimes the issue happens. Okay, so to refer how those data sharing configuration it will be happening and all. So there is a particular framework, and there are two KBAs I have said. It's actually from from a troubleshooting point of view. Okay, I have used in this two KBA in my project. Okay, so that I have shared here. Okay, so anyway I will be showing in the system again how it will be looking like. And there is something called you are aware of this, right? Decoupled and not decoupled IT framework, input type framework.
No.
Okay, so this one I will explain. So in this info types, so if you go to this, okay, so it will be depending upon your setting, it will share, like it will say what are the different, it will prevent your being data becoming inconsistent, so that you maintain a security check or you maintain a kind of filter here. Okay, so those data inconsistency will not happen in the future whenever you are doing the replication. Okay, so that is from an ECP side, and there are many nodes. There are many nodes, but there are two prominent nodes which I have used in my previous two previous projects. Okay, which you can go through. Okay, but in the system I will show you how it what is the purpose of it and why you are using this info type framework and what are the settings you have to do it. Okay, so this is regarding how the concept of data sharing configuration. Just to the purpose is to prevent the data inconsistency, so that whatever data it should not be there should not be any inconsistency or any error during your replication. Okay, so that is to prevent that. This is one of the configuration we do in the ECP side. Okay. So if I go further, here in this C, you can see there is a further in the same step, the detailed configurations, there is a switch here. Okay, so this is a table basically. Okay, so in this table, you'll be seeing there is a main switch, and you have to see here the value like yes or no. There are two options. Okay, so you have to select yes. Okay, and there are after doing this, so this is one of the step. Other than that, like your OMPA configuration, that's integration, that Pluggy, Orga, and all. So we generally not generally, we must deactivate that integration, OMPA integration, because that is one of the steps. That is also part of this. Okay, so you can stop the integration, so that because your org structure everything is coming means org structure is maintaining your EC purely. Okay, so you do not have to maintain OM structure in the separately in your ECP side. Okay, so this is regarding your data sharing configuration. That is your step number 15. Okay,
Give an example of inconsistency.
inconsistency, actually there are different types of error will be coming across. Okay, so whenever your replication will be happening, okay, suppose due
Mm-hmm.
to some reason you have maintained some data manually, you have in the EC payroll side, then there are varieties of error you'll
Example.
be getting.
Example.
Error screenshot I have not taken it here, but actually
No,
you
no,
will be
example. Give me an example.
Okay. So it will say like this info type has been already, it will say it is already been maintained in your EC side. So it will giving some kind of error, like say info type, say personal details or the address map details. It is already maintained in your, you do not require to maintain in your EC payroll side, in the on-premise side. Okay. Those sort of error you will be getting. Okay. So, or duplicate of error, duplicate values, some kind of those, there are varieties of error, but the solution is there are, you have to maintain this thing, this setting of this data sharing configuration, and there are certain instructions inside this two node which I'll be
So
taking
what
to.
happens when you maintain this? It will restrict payroll user to maintain those info types, or what will it do once you do
Huh.
this setting?
Once you do this setting, actually then those error will not be coming. So it will check like yes, that is has been already maintained here. Okay, so that means it will prevent your data inconsistency. So whenever you are doing this mass up or you are doing during your replication of your PA30 data, okay, so it will prevent that error actually. This is just a
So
preventive action.
is it a security feature, meaning it will prevent end user to maintain that info type, or it will prevent the error? I'm
It
not
will
very
prevent
clear.
that, it will prevent that error, not the maintaining of a data. It will prevent that error actually.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is regarding your step number 15. And step number 16, actually this is again similar step which we have already seen, that compound employee API query. Okay, so same thing I have shown here. If you go inside it and the query segment, okay, so whatever the query configuration, it is actually both sides I have covered it. In EC side I think you have seen it, and ECP side also I've tried to show you here. Okay, so those query segment, you can, what are the those config ID. Okay, the specific, suppose national ID you would like to put it in the replications. Okay, so that you have to see it here. So that is from that compound employee point of view, what are the things actually in the standard settings are there, like config ID, company or country, employee class, your pay group. Hmm. All these details will be there. These are the different options we do have in the query configurations. Okay, this is the one compound employee. I think the generic concept I have given in that whenever I have talked about the basic fundamental of the compound employee API. So the more details actually I have given in this. Okay, so those concept. Okay, and next one is your this is your check tool. Okay, so that is your to check your pay component waste type has been already, what is the mapping between those waste type whatever you have configured in your EC payroll, and which what are the permissibility and what are the respective pay component. Okay, there is a standard report for it, and in that report you can check what are those mappings. Okay, so those details will be there. Hmm. And regarding this, yeah, so this is these are the different steps, 17 steps, I think. Yeah, let me go to the main page again, just to have a recap. Okay. So out of 17 steps, what I understood, you need more clarity on this the step number 14, right? Lokesh?
Yep.
Okay, okay. So I'm just making a note of it. Okay, so if
Step
I'll
number 14 with the clear picture
huh,
between EC and ECPY, the whole proper diagram, or yep,
architecture or your
yeah,
okay, so those
yeah,
types of picture you are looking for. Okay, so let me do an see it.
including the security settings,
Okay,
RBP, or whatever
no,
is entailed.
RBP is not coming to picture here. So the
Not
security part I
here, hear
understand.
me out, please. Not here, not
Hmm,
here, but
hmm,
onto the EC side,
hmm.
when because technically what this program does, replication program,
Okay,
it's an
okay.
ABAP program, right?
Hmm,
This
yes.
ABAP program
Hmm,
invokes the compound employee API.
yes.
And this compound employee API will go and read or fetch the data from EC But in order to do that, this compound employee API would need access to employee central system also, right? Or
Yes.
else any Tom, Dick, and Harry in anywhere of the world will start accessing EC data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, you have some. I mean, it's very simple. It's not something complex, but
Yes,
that
yes.
whole flow, if
Hmm.
we are talking about so many technical bits, this is
Hmm.
basic. This should be clear to me that
Okay.
this data exchange is happening, including the
Okay.
acknowledgement which goes back to the EC,
Confirmation. Okay. Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Okay, got it. So I will do check. I'm just making a note of it. Okay. Then we will see detail. Okay. Anything else, Lokesh, before we wind
No,
up?
no, I'm good. So
Okay.
we'll
So
connect tomorrow, right?
yeah. So we'll connect tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. I'll do some reading.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, could you just do a quick recap of, because I wanted to see this today. I don't know
Hmm.
if you still have time or you want to show it tomorrow, that
Hmm.
pay component and wage type mapping.
That tomorrow I will show you. Okay, just
Okay.
I'll make sure tomorrow I will show you, and I will be sharing one recently released document that is called, I just now recalled, ALP, architectural leading practices for EC payroll. Also they have now released recent, just 4 or 5 days back. Okay, so one of the leading practitioner in from SAP labs, they have released it, and I didn't get a chance to go through it. It's a huge document, and they have actually mentioned all this design aspect of it. Generally people do not talk about it, especially in the consulting side. So I will go through it, and I will also sharing with you. That's a very wonderful document from EC side. From Employee Central I have seen long back, but EC payroll side they have not released it. Okay, recently just now they have released it, the design aspects of it and architectural components. This is a very good artifact. Okay, I will be sharing that with you. I think most of the questions will be answered there.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean, as far as documents are concerned, I'm happy you will share that. But
Hmm.
let me tell you, there is like ocean of information out there everywhere.
Very true. Very
But
true. I agree.
I want simple answer, simple explanation rather than
Hmm.
uh, read this, read that, do this, do that. That wouldn't make things clear in my head. Other
Yeah.
question which I wanted to ask, maybe you can answer me tomorrow. But
Hmm.
the question is, I mean, it's a two-part question. This
Hmm.
pay component to wage type mapping, right?
Hmm.
Uh, See, there are various ways where data would come to ECP.
Hmm.
Sometimes what will happen, uh, you will not replicate all the wage types from EC. You would
Hmm.
want to replicate only few limited wage types. And some
Hmm.
wage types to ECP would come from a different source. That source could be any source. It could be benefit system. I mean,
Hmm.
it wouldn't come directly to EC. It would come directly to ECPY. All
Hmm.
right. So
Hmm.
when you click on that, when you define your config ID or that replication thing,
Hmm.
in that, if you do the star,
Hmm.
it will wipe out that data in ECPY,
Hmm.
meaning you have to do a selective configuration for the wage types. You have to define that for info type 14, you will be
Hmm.
replicating only these wage types.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
that config does, it with that config, it will not delete the data. It will not wipe out the data if that data is coming from a different source. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? These are so that's one I would want to see in the system where we define that what wage types comes from EC and what wage types come from a different source, because
So
that's
when you say different source, is it when I say benefit, like it's a kind of third party benefits or EC benefit you are talking about?
not EC benefits. When I say different source, it's not EC at all.
Okay. 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 Like benefit focus or any other those
It
things, those
could
kind of.
be, I mean, I gave benefits
Third
as an
party.
example. Don't
Okay.
get
Okay.
hung on to benefits. It
Hmm.
could be any source. Let's say it could be time wage types, which are not coming from EC time off, which are not coming from, it's coming from some third party XYZ system directly to ECP,
Hmm. Okay, I got it.
right? Because
Yeah.
if you go by your default setting of replication, because in your project it's very limited, just
Hmm.
a limited number of employees, and you are replicating everything from EC to ECPY. But in larger projects,
Hmm.
you have these complications. You don't get all the wage types from EC directly. You get it from different sources.
Hmm.
So in that case, you will have to define in the config somewhere that these wage types will come from EC and these wage types will come from a different system. Or
Third
else
party.
if you don't define, what will
Hmm.
happen, this replication program will wipe out your data in ECP
Hmm.
completely. You
Okay.
know
Yes. Yes.
why I'm saying it will wipe out? Because replication program will see that the data source is only EC
Hmm.
and this data has been manually created or it shouldn't be there, and it will wipe it out.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if it's wiping out, then it's doing something incorrect. It shouldn't happen. All
Hmm.
right. So we'll have to visit that config and
Okay.
see if
Hmm.
it's defined in that config ID and
Hmm.
pay component wage type mapping and all that stuff. We'll have to just revisit. And the second
Okay.
part of the question is
Hmm.
uh, where I think we saw this already, but I would like to see envision it again. Uh,
Okay.
let's say you call your pay component for your base pay
Hmm.
uh, uh, 8,000, all right,
Hmm.
in EC.
Hmm.
And I don't want it to be called as 8,000 in ECP in my info type 8. I want it to be called as 8,005. So I want to see that mapping basically,
Okay.
but when we
Okay.
see that mapping, it will answer that question. That's not a
Okay.
big deal. But the
Sure.
first part of the question is very crucial as
Hmm.
far as the replication is concerned.
Sure. Sure. So I will check that and I will come back to you. Okay.
All right. No
Yeah.
worries.
Hmm.
I mean, these things are coming back to me because I did all this
Hmm.
in 2016.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, again, I would want these simple bits to be answered. I mean, these were very much clear to me back in the day, but I'm
Hmm.
hoping to get these small bits here and there answered.
Hmm.
For example, that P2P replication user,
Hmm.
and how does compound employee will read the data from EC,
Hmm.
because that security setting is which security setting? Is it SAML2 or is it some kind of RBP which is defined behind the scene so that
Hmm.
compound employee API can get access to the EC in order to read the data? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. Got it.
All right. But this
Yeah.
is great. I mean, we are heading in right direction, and it's
Yeah.
it's definitely bringing a lot of things back to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
Lot of
if
yeah.
even if
Hmm.
even if questions are not answered, I'm
Hmm.
not that much worried. I
Hmm.
hope in our future discussions we will find
Yeah.
those answers with more research, and you will
Hmm.
ask your colleagues or you will do some
Yeah, yeah.
research at your end and you
Mostly
will get
these
back
things
to me.
actually, generally, my integration consultant has more knowledge on this. So generally, I prefer to him, and generally these questions, especially this integration side, because generally this integration side do not. I give this task to him, and generally he does it. And even I never tried to explore it much in a detailed way. Okay, so I will definitely.
I
It's a
mean,
good
it's
thing
it's
that you have
it's
asked.
it's it's not
Hmm,
very detailed.
hmm,
I'm not asking you to give me
hmm,
what is compound employee API or how
hmm,
API is written and all
hmm,
that stuff. I'm not asking that because that's purely technical and
hmm,
purely integration.
hmm,
What I'm asking is basically a two-way communication between EC and ECP, and in
hmm,
layman terms, explain me how
hmm,
this point to point is working, because this is our like almost 10th session on
hmm.
P2P, right? But
Yes, yes.
we have gone through so many slides, so many steps, but this
Hmm.
is a very basic P2P, right,
Hmm.
between EC and
Yeah, yeah.
ECP. So
Yes, yes.
this
Hmm.
and again, this is my feedback. This
Hmm.
should be in the
Hmm.
very beginning of your slide.
Hmm.
This maybe you create your diagram by yourself if you are not finding it elsewhere, but
Hmm.
this will open up lot of ideas and good thoughts around P2P replication.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, yes. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
very happy. Things are shaping up, and
Hmm.
I'm sure if I do some more research and homework,
Hmm.
it will be fine. But you are okay, right? So
Yeah,
far,
yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
fine. I'm
even though
fine.
our schedule is bit off once in a while. Maybe there are some
Uh,
days I'm not available, some days you are not
hmm.
available. But this is
Hmm.
totally fine with me. I mean,
Yes.
uh, the more time I'll get, more time I'll use to do my reading, right?
Hmm.
So that's good. I'm fine with it.
Sure. Same here. Same.
And
I also appreciate that.
as you saw, I don't want you to waste too much of time on core payroll config. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bother
Exactly.
looking into those details.
Hmm.
However, these questions are very important for me in
Hmm.
order to make a comeback. Hence,
Yeah.
I'm bothering.
Sure. Sure. Definitely. Okay. So I will answer those things. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Then
no
we'll wind up.
worries,
Yeah.
Niladri. Have a good rest of the day. Take care, and we'll connect tomorrow at the same time.
Sure. Sure.
All right.
Thanks. Okay. Bye. Good night.
Bye bye.